Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about the skies. And we're going to talk about a discussion occurring between the United States Air Force and the Pentagon, because they have differing opinions of something. And depending on which school of thought wins out, it could end up drastically altering the conditions in Ukraine. Since very early on in this conflict, the United States Air Force has wanted to provide the Ukrainian military with Reapers. Older versions of Reapers, but Reapers nonetheless. The Pentagon has been hesitant to do this. Initially, there were two reasons. The Pentagon didn't want to provide them because these things definitely had the capability to hit inside of Russia, which NATO is doctrinally against. That has become less of a concern as the Ukrainians have developed their own methods of hitting deeper into Russia. The other is the concern that some of them would be shot down, and therefore Russia would gain access to the technology in them. Once Russia gains access to the technology in them, that means that technology then goes to Iran, North Korea, so on and so forth. So, yes, the Reapers, the versions that they are talking about sending, are well beyond anything that any opposition military has in their arsenal. They're not even close, to be honest. That being said, the reason the Air Force is so willing to give them up is because by the United States Air Force standards, they're not obsolete, but they certainly are not Tier 1 technology anymore. So the Air Force is willing to risk it. They're like, yeah, give it to them, and allow them this capability. The Pentagon is concerned about them being shot down and then reverse engineered. And yeah, it's a risk. That being said, it would not bring an opposition nation to the level that the United States is at, because they're older technology. Now, how important is this to Ukraine? It's a game changer. If the Ukrainian military got their hands on these things and deployed them even halfway decently, it would be a game changer. All of those static positions that the Russian military has been relying on, those are no longer obstacles for the Ukrainian military to overcome. Those are targets of opportunity for the Reapers. Those are things that they just hit on their way to go do what they were really trying to do. It would be a huge, huge shift in the balance of power if Ukraine got their hands on these. Obviously, Ukraine has been pressing to get these since the very beginning of the war. And the Air Force has been willing, because they have a bunch they're trying to get rid of anyway. I think they even offered them to like customs or something at one point. So it's the Pentagon. It's the Pentagon's fear of losing that technology that's holding this up. Is it a realistic fear? Yeah, odds are if they're sent, one will be shot down, one will be captured, it will be reverse engineered, and that technology will get out. Is the technology contained in it so much of an advantage that it should preclude it being deployed? I don't know about that. What they're saying could happen. I'm not going to say it could happen. I'm saying it's almost certainly going to happen. If the older versions of the Reapers find their way to Ukraine, odds are it's an almost certainty that Russia will end up with that technology. But they're older versions. I don't know that that's a good enough reason to say, no, don't send them. Ukraine, for its part, has said, hey, we won't hit inside Russia with these, and we'll even give you targeting packages. That may also be a concern for the Pentagon. The fact that the idea of the United States having final approval over a targeting package in Ukraine is probably a step they don't want to take. They don't want to be in the position of them saying, yes, do it, when they're doing everything they can to not be active in this conflict. So that may have an additional complicating factor. That could easily be resolved by saying, yeah, we don't want the target packages. Ukraine would be using the drones the way drones were actually supposed to be used, which is to replace normal aircraft, normal manned aircraft. They weren't really supposed to be used the way they have been. That wasn't how they were originally envisioned. Using them as close air support, using them in the role that Ukraine is probably going to use them in, there are probably some in the Pentagon who are willing to send the drones over just to see how it plays out. And I know there's a whole bunch of people that are going to be just shocked by that statement, but it's the reality of it. They haven't been used in a conventional sense enough to really know how effective they are. And this would be a situation in which Ukraine gets a huge boost in capability, and the United States sits back and kind of watches. And from there, it would give it a good baseline into how much to invest in drones that are specifically designed for conventional combat. So what's going to happen? We don't know. But what we are aware of is that this conversation is heating up between the Air Force and the Pentagon, and there is undoubtedly pressure from Ukraine to try to get these. And there's probably a motivating factor of the U.S. drone policy changing. So theoretically, these older drones that are not Tier 1 technology, they're not going to be used at all because there won't be cause to use them. So there's a lot going on, but this is something to kind of put on your radar. You will see this material again. This is going to come up. If it transfers, if this kind of transfer goes through, expect the entire face of that war to change very, very quickly. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.